Yeah, right. So my name is Sai. Good evening, first of all, to everyone, and thank you for taking your time to attend this webinar. So I'm a security analyst at an MSSP here in Texas. So you may be thinking the second point over here is kind of a bloat, and you don't know why I kept this because, but I'll tell you. I love this one particularly because if you want to be an analyst or even a better person, you need to listen to others carefully and either learn from it or just just stick it in your brain regardless, but that's an important thing. I will be talking about security analysts issues in SOC. So I will go over a few things. Before that, I'm also preparing for GIAC GCDA. I know it's mouthful. It's GIAC Certified SANS Certified Detection Analyst certification. So the reason I chose this because I want to be an incident responder. That is the reason I'm going on this path. I'm also doing the ELearnsecurity's Certified Incident Response. A little bit about myself. I'm not native to security, like I said before. If I didn't, now I'm saying it. I'm not native to it. I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I almost did my master's in mechanical engineering. I'm just 3 credits short. I joined the university to pursue my career in information assurance because I don't see myself in doing a mechanical engineering job in the long run. I know it's a too late of a realization, but nonetheless, I joined another program. I was fortunate enough to join this program. I started from learning basic operating systems to finishing my thesis in 15 months. I really enjoyed it, to say the least. It really gave me so much, I learned a ton. After my master's, I joined my first cybersecurity job per se, as a title per se, in Snapchat. So it was a great experience over there. And then I currently working for an MSSP, like I said before. I volunteer for different things, conferences, and other things. Currently, I'm volunteering for CSNP, and it is awesome. If you want to join it, please hit Chuck. He will let you know. I really enjoyed it so far. I do volunteer for the Hack the Box event. So in 29th, you'll see me again. If you want to dig a little dirt on me or want to connect with me, you can reach me at the LinkedIn handle over there. So without further ado, let's see what is going on today. So what I will ramble on. First, we will see on a brief way what SOC is, and then we will see what are some of the issues we see today in a SOC. I divided them into general categories and SIM architecture, data, and alerting, and then we will see how these things look from a SOC perspective. Sorry, an analyst perspective rather than a SOC perspective, and then can we as an analyst do anything to make our lives easy, or if you are not an analyst, how you now you know how an analyst what are the issues analysts face, so you can at least uh, you know do something if you are in a position to do so. Then what SOC is. So this is the picture from NSA, from SOC. I'm sorry about the ambulance. uh, So SOC is Security Operations Center. Either it goes from monitoring, detecting, and responding all the way to incident response, forensics, and everything, or it tries to improve the processes around security and organization posture on security. So it's a bunch of analysts. It can go from point to point, from, like I said, from preparing, monitoring, detecting to all the way to forensics, depending on the organization. So this is what SOC is. NSA SOC is. So when I first did my master's, I thought this is what I will join. And this is, I thought myself, and it's like, man, I will be an analyst like this. When I joined, initially, this is what I thought. I was like, come on, I become an analyst. I become an analyst for a multimedia company. Uh, so perfect. And this is what I'm right now. It's like every day I see cyber risks every day. So this is what actually how SOC people when they're done with their masters or whatever program they are in, or they want to be an analyst. Excuse me. So from NSA SOC, this is where they go to. So that sets up the foundation, and this is our base of the whole topic. So let's begin by looking at a statement published in a research from 2015, which is 5 years ago, though. Receive an alert, scan the logs, 3 minutes. I will explain you what exactly that means. Look up an address, 1 minute. Find the user information, another minute. Repeat. So actually, this is more true than ever. I will now tell you what exactly this means. This is explaining an analyst process. An analyst receives an alert, scan the logs for 3 minutes. He has to scan the logs. This is not set timings though. This is was just an research done, and that's what they found. And on average, that's what they do. 3 minutes to scan the logs. Look up an address. Maybe it's an IP address, hash, or wherever you want to see. Look up an address. It'll take 1 minute for you. It should take 1 minute for you, or it is taking 1 minute for you. Find the user information, another minute, and rinse and repeat. An analyst. So here you see scan the logs. So all our presentation is based on this one. uh, Receive an alert. We will see how an analyst should, or an alert can be, and how an alert is right now. Scan the logs. What are the issues with the SIM architecture, or data over in that round? Look up an address. How we can we do anything to automate those processes? What are the issues we are facing there, or an analyst is facing there? Find the user information. What about a context on the data, and what are the issues on the data side, and how it impacts an analyst to work that. So this is the base of the presentation. We will come to this slide repeatedly, or at least reference it. So now let's go to our first issue: common industry-wide problems. There are many people who are talking this about this. I'm sorry, this may seem like a feeding the dead cow to you, but I have to include this one because we will see there are many industry leaders who will speak about SOC problems, but I'll try to tailor it to an analyst, how those problems look from an analyst perspective. In the cycle of process, procedures, and technology, people always come first. There is a real problem, especially in the cyber world, regarding people. This is not only an industry or organization problem per se, but more of an everyday analyst problem too. People in cybersecurity are hard to find. If you are in cybersecurity, and even if you find them, there is no guarantee that they will stay with us for a long time. So I'll tell you a story. Someone commented on a post, not a story actually. I just saw this one. Someone commented on a post about a million vacancies in cybersecurity, saying this: are these jobs not being filled because of efficient people, or because people don't want to do chore jobs where there is no growth? If the latter is true, then we have a much bigger problem than finding people, right? Why would someone join just if there is no growth? I remember someone once asked me, "Can you tell me what is your day to day?" Right? I started saying, "I monitor alerts and triage them accordingly." And he interrupted me and said, "I was like, so basically, you wait for an alert to do your job." I couldn't really say anything. I was like, I was caught in a surprise. I was like, I couldn't really say anything. So not because I don't want to, but I didn't continue because I realized they do not understand the know-how of an analyst. An analyst work is resource intensive. Resource may be energy, knowledge, time, or anything else. But continuing in this fashion will cause burnout. And that's our first problem: analyst burnout. There are many things that are out of scope of an analyst's scope that cause this issue, but one such thing we will talk about is less efficient and skilled staff. That means the analysts who are working have increasing workload, which requires more resources, in turn adding to the existing problems. Next thing, if you know what an infrastructure is or worked with infrastructure, the second point will be very familiar with you, single point of failure. Not only infrastructure has that problem, SOC has it too. Due to less skilled staff or rarely found analysts, tacit knowledge and tribal knowledge is growing. This will cause both burnout and or using a single or couple of analysts more than they're supposed to. You might have heard of a story of Brunt in Phoenix Project. If you didn't, I highly recommend reading that book. It is a wonderful book. It is written by Gene Kim, Kevin Bear, and George Spafford. I'm sorry if I spell it wrong, but it's an amazing book. It's about IT, DevOps, and everything. So I'll tell you the story of Brent. So Brent is the guy who knows in and out of the system. He has perfect. He is perfect. But he was not able to transfer that knowledge to others. This is a huge problem contributing to not retaining. So what happening is he couldn't transfer his knowledge, and that is a huge problem because now he know in and out system he can do anything, but he is constantly be under pressure to do something and couldn't concentrate on a single thing. He has to juggle between many things. Same like that, this is a huge problem in analyst world too. If a single or couple of analysts are constantly being in the position of burnout and having this tacit knowledge, this is only one this is the huge problem contributing to not retaining the new analysts, as they see the tasks are tedious and feel they are left out. Because a new analyst has a vague idea on what to do, but not how. This will cause both the analyst with the tacit knowledge and the new analyst keep hanging. The second issue, automation. Automation is very important in any field. This is not to take away the jobs, but to help the people to do their jobs. A new analyst is left hanging on how part, so manual processes are growing. The automation we have in SEIM or SIEM and recently SOAR platforms will be moot if it does not understand what an analyst need to protect their job, how to protect their infrastructure, or it does not understand exactly how an analyst or an organization actually protects an infrastructure, like alert correlation, data correlation, helping an analyst to improve their cognitive thinking to perform their jobs, and blah blah blah. This will have a direct impact on the analyst as they require more time processing what's going on and how to approach a task. So let's see what an analyst can do, how they can approach them, or at least how I approach them in my day to day. Though there are many things, like I said before, out of scope of an analyst, uh, these things can at least give you some pointers, which I went through, or will help you in resolving some of the issues. First and foremost, sharing is caring. This is particularly important in approaching the burnout and tacit knowledge problem. If you are fortunate enough to have new hires every now and then, and also have a decent team, then lunch and learns, Thirsty Thursdays, Talent Tuesdays, whatever acronym you want to call it for the day, are the best way to integrate, interact, and share knowledge within other analysts. This will help everyone to improve constantly, continuously, and innovatively, because one analyst is sharing their either problems, ideas, or anything to other analysts, where now the time of knowledge transfer is less. Documentation. I know this is considered one of the boring topics, but I can't stress enough how much this will help. This we will reiterate on documentation, because this will come under problems too in the future slides. Automate. So you as an analyst think a particular task which is causing issues and automate that process. if you are a small team, like if you are not a decent amount of, if you do not have a decent amount of team, like I said before, to do those lunch and learns and all, if you're a small team but facing the burnout from alerts and other things, then try to find a way to automate few processes. Here it is twofold. You're improving the process to reduce analyst or alert burden, sorry, and learning something new at the same time while automating some processes. So now you as an analyst are not only a consumer of a product, but a contributor and or a creator. Then distribute that tool to other analysts, and much better if you can integrate that into your process. Like there are, in Splunk, you can do workflows. In Elastic Stack, you can do workflows. These are the SIMs out there. If you do not know, forget about it. But just to throw out the options. uh, Especially this is limited in some of the companies or many companies due to budget restrictions or other issues. So think on how we can use existing tools which we already have to better assist us. This will give us a segue into our next topic, SIM. Every SOC or an enterprise has a SIM. A SIM is basically, a product where you can get all the logs at one place. My logs can be from any place. So let's dive into some of the architectural issues we use or we face in SIM and how we can have sound approach to deal with these issues. We are not discussing on every problem of SIM architecture, but only the ones affecting an analyst. Hey, I like this one. So there are many moving parts that make a typical SIM, right? Some of them are data shippers, log aggregators, queuing technologies, backend storage. If all this sounds gibberish to you, it's all right. I will tell you one such problem, right? Only one. It's event ingestion. So the workflow of ingesting data, maybe it logs or any data in SIM, is the endpoints or devices ships to an aggregator like Logstash, which basically what the name says, aggregates every log which is sent to them. Then the aggregator push it to queuing services in some cases like Kafka, and then to a database backend like in Elasticsearch. Imagine the data shipper which is responsible to ship the logs from an endpoint or any other devices, or an aggregator is not forwarding logs to a database in near real time or with a huge lag. Excuse me, let me take a sip. Sorry. This means when an alert has filed for an analyst and an analyst tries to investigate the alert, the event has or had already happened and the attacker has the advantage. Now, if it actually, you will see in future and data section how this is a even more bigger problem in data correlation, because now you have one data source coming in one timings and other data source coming in a different timing. It is hard to correlate. They are trying to investigate this as an analyst, like we are trying to investigate an alert in the present time and looking for the surrounding events on the current event. So this is a problem. Let's look at next problem. Hit and pray. So if you don't know what exactly this means, I will tell you. In every sim, there is something called a search engine. When I was in one of the SANS classes related to sim, the instructor mentioned this. I know this was a problem, but I didn't know this was such a huge issue. Imagine you as an analyst trying to perform your analysis in a sim. The first thing, or one of the first things you do after reading the alert, is to check logs. If the sim is not efficient, or if we have too much data, which we will discuss in future slides, you have to type your query, hit enter, and pray that it works. Pray to anyone you like that it doesn't time out on us. Uh-oh, that's a problem for us. This is not solely an issue of onboarding high volume data, but the architecture itself. We can't really blame anyone because we are in this together, right? We are learning as a team and as an organization, but this problem has a high impact on an analyst. Let's see what an analyst can do with this. So, more often than not, you will see a field in your logs when this event actually happened along with the time we received the log. Like remember the log problem which we talking about previously? So you can actually create a field, or there is a field existing saying that when the time of the data actually happened, the event actually happened, and when it is ingested in the logs for us. Now you can investigate the alert according to the timestamp and not skew your investigation and or analysis. The real pain of searching what you want to provide better analysis is common in many organizations. You as an analyst do have some tricks, like when you want to search something, do not use vague searches. And moreover, please do not throw regular expressions if you don't know what the outcome will be. Better than that, an analyst should have some set of questions in their mind on how to approach the alert. I don't remember the exact presentation on this one, but if you see, I think SANS, one of the SANS conferences, you will see how to ask set of questions. I'll put that in chat at the end of the presentation if I can find it. So let's come to the topic. Um, so what I was saying, an analyst should have set of questions in their mind and how to approach an alert that they received. This will help in formulating the effective queries, which are investigative rich but less resource intensive. The next one, what else we can do? Imagine you have an issue with the SIM and you have some ideas where you have read or learned or anything. Identify the real issue, not a hypothetical one that doesn't cut, a real issue that is hindering your capabilities to do your job properly and which may also help other analysts, and try to come up with a solution in your home lab. I cannot encourage this enough because this will make you stand out from others as now you understand the pain from both worlds. Get that POC running because it will help you understand each and every process or the hard work required for the other team to, you know, move that request forward. So the leftist IT crowd, if you haven't watched this, excellent show. On the right is the Silicon Valley. So if my ideas smell, if it says your muffins smell like shit, so do your ideas. If my ideas smell like you think they smell like this, it's like I'm sorry, you still have to go. You're still halfway down and you have still to go. And let's see the third problem as an analyst you have, or in SOC in general. Data is like one friend, which we love and hate at the same time. Analysts work on data throughout the day, every day. They need it to do all their tasks. Actually, gone are the days when data is actual problem. Now, data in itself is not an issue, but the decision on what we do with it is. Any security tool is as good as the data it gets. We will talk about some of the issues that come along with the data which impacts an analyst. I love this data everywhere. Yeah, it is. So, what data we need? That is the biggest question in any SIM, any SOC, any for anyone. What data we need? It's like going to a subway and not knowing which condiments to ask for. You can go there and say like, give me some lettuce, give me some spinach, jalapenos. You know what? Give me everything. Same way, we have endpoint logs, network logs, cloud logs, blah logs, many infrastructure logs. Data is available from everywhere and necessary actually depending on what you want to do with that data. It is really important. If you don't know that, or if you don't plan that on what we need, then it's subway all over again. This will have direct impact on other parts of the SOC, like architectural issues, like we discussed before. If we are hoarding or too much data, then the SIM becomes slow and the response time becomes high. Informed defense, alerts, and many other things. There are many organizations which are dealing with the problem, but the successful ones, at least I came across, are the ones who are planning what data they need by judging on what outcomes they want to achieve before ingesting the data. If you don't plan and hold all the data, it will have other unknown implications. The third biggest issue is not having context surrounding the data. If you worked as a SOC, in a SOC, sorry, or you are an analyst, or dealt with alerts, dealt with logs, you know what I'm talking about. This has far more implications than hoarding data, because now you have data, but you don't know what to do with it, or what the data is actually. Do oh, I completely lost on it. Sorry. So the question, sorry, yeah, questions about the data. Do you use it for correlation? Do you want it, the data, for investigating an alert, or you have a use case already for, or any such task? Due to lack of these issues, companies are facing the problems with storage, parsing, schema of the data, and many other things. This will lead us to our next topic: data consistency. As much as it is important to know what data you need, it is even more important to get them consistently in a structured format. This will help us in structuring our queries, searching a set of logs related to an event, and help us reduce the investigative time. Correlating the data we have is also important, because that way you can form a story from the logs, not just see the logs and every now and then here and there, but you can formulate a whole story on what happened. Actually, all the issues I've mentioned here are interrelated. Think about it. If you don't plan what data we need, then we don't know which data is important. If we don't plan on how to onboard data, then we do it in an ad hoc basis, and without thinking what fields we receive or what we receive with that data. If we don't know what fields we have, then we cannot provide context around them. And if we don't have any of the above, then it is hard time. You will face so much issues and problems to correlate and search across millions of logs to form a story and be confident in your analysis. Wow, that's a mouthful, right? And also, sometimes even if you hold all the data and there comes one particular alert where there is no data for that, and you was like, oh, we have a blind spot now. So plan what data you need and see what we can, as an analyst, do from it. First and foremost, we need to analyze what data we need. You might be thinking, come on, Sai, that's an additional job for me. But listen, let's say you have been receiving alerts and you repeatedly closing it as near rounded answers like you do for other things. Take a step back and remember your basics. What is that one or two data sources that can make our lives easy and say for sure, or at least give a story to it if it's malicious or not, or more importantly, that we can form a story out of it, and now all makes sense. Jot them down. Whatever ideas you have, whatever data sources you want, jot them down. Now think, like, gray hat, black hat, put your innovative and storytelling hat, narrate why you need that data. What are the benefits we get from that? How hard it is to retrieve that data. These will make you think if we really are missing a data source, or can we pivot to another data source to tell the same story. See, again, here we stumbled upon the documentation. I know, we will discuss it. But doing all this will help answering the questions and also helping the other teams who are not analysts to think of its importance of the data and the underlying reasoning behind it, why we are asking it. This is very important. Now, I know we've moved far fast. If you have any questions, I will look at them. But here comes our final topic. Let's. Before going to alerts, I'll tell you one thing. Delivering alerts is not the goal, but delivering actionable alerts which are effective and efficient should be, right? Employees are evaluated on, like employees, I mean, SOC analysts are evaluated by how many tickets or incidents they close per day and how fast they can do it. As we saw in our data section, there is too much data coming in from different devices and other technologies, which also happen to be our first problem in alerting. An enterprise embraces many tools and technologies to improve its business processes and to be productive and to be profitable per se. We all heard something like, hey, this new tool will make our life easy with X task, or some of this ML powered technology will solve all of our problems. If you haven't heard that one, you are missing the tech news. You have to follow them. An analyst is expected to resolve or at least determine if an alert needs escalation or not. That means an analyst should have an idea on all the tools and or technologies that produces these alerts. This is painful and lovely at the same time though. I love this one because painful because you need to learn many technologies now, and lovely because it's of the same. You can learn many technology. You can keep that constant brain spinning. Like I said, why I love cybersecurity. This is why. Let me take a sip. Thank you. So where are we? Too many technologies. Yes. Imagine an alert produced by an unknown or new technology is not the actual problem. Think about it. But if you don't have the context on why it is triggered, then that is a problem. An analyst will think at that time, like, what should I do with this alert? How to approach this one? What logs I have to check? And many other things. This also has an implication on an analyst's work where they become fearful of an alert they receive from a particular tool or a particular technology they don't understand fully, which will make the analyst either pass on the alert to others or even adversely question their own skill set, thinking, do I really know what I am analyzing or approaching, how to approach an alert? Now you see how much an alert with no context affects an analyst. Another such problem is threat intelligence. Threat intelligence is wonderful, it's good. It will help you solve some of the most significant problems in your environment, but it can also make your head spin if you have not implemented it properly. Most organizations do have some form of threat intelligence, internal, external, regardless. Threat intelligence will help an analyst to determine evil in the environment by giving patterns provided by the activity provider that's been observed externally or internally. Let me break it down. If some company has observed some tools, techniques, or procedures of a threat actor, they will sell you those threat intelligence to your organization. That's what exactly that means. And we, as an organization, as an analyst, compare those patterns in our logs. But when this is not implemented, or when it's used just right out of the box without tuning within the context of the environment which you're working on, it will trigger a lot of alerts. It will trigger 8.8.8.8. If you don't know Google DNS address, it will trigger on that because some way or some form, an adversary has used it for DNS exfiltration. So it will use for it. It may even cause an analyst to miss some important alerts because they are juggling between all these false positives or all these alerts, where if they have received a new alert or a actual alert which is actually a threat to an organization, they'll miss it completely because they're buried in this alerts of threat intelligence because they are not tuned according to the organization which you're working on. Threat intelligence must be tailored to the environment which we are operating in. If not, we kind of don't understand our environment very well. Know thyself. Remember that story? You have to know yourself better in order to do anything. If you don't know your own environment, how you will tailor it, how you will tailor the threat intelligence according to your environment. Which brings us to the next point, where analysts don't know what they're protecting. Lack of knowledge on what we are protecting can cause a huge impact on an analyst's investigation process and analysis for that matter. He will have many questions, or she will have many questions. Is the analyst we if the is the alert we received against a particular asset is important or not? If the asset is compromised, what level of impact we would have? These are some of the questions and important ones an analyst to ask to himself or herself as they reflect in the time we take to investigate and the level of analysis it requires and the escalation procedures it requires. Again, this can be an outcome of lack of documentation. An important on some of the important assets and asset information in general, an analyst need or required to know. That brings us to our final slide, documentation. I have made you kept you in suspense so much. So let's be done with this. Documentation. I know. I can feel it. Even though I cannot hear you, I can feel it. This is one of those things you think it is nice to have, but I don't like to build on or build one. Documentation is very important to an organization. Consider it as a means to communicate effectively and in a uniform fashion across all the organization. Be it a developer wanting to propose a new idea, be it an incident responder documenting their procedures, or be it a forensic analyst, or wants to jog down their training and help the other people to be consistent in how they approach a particular case, whatever the scenario may be. But it is important. Lack of documentation has direct impact on an analyst. Training a fresh analyst or fresh hire on all the procedures we follow in our environment will also be a part of documentation. Communicating with other analysts regarding the common investigation and escalation processes, that is also can be achieved through documentation. What if I tell you, on an average, according to one of the researchers, it says the time span of a particular analyst is 2 years in a company, and if the analyst hired is new to cybersecurity, it takes an average almost an year to train them. You see the pattern now, right? Lack of documentation is one of the reasons or one of the contributing factors for longer training period. Because if you have that documentation, if you have set procedures, processes on how to approach a particular thing, let consider it data, what data we have, consider it alerts, what alerts we are alerting on, or what technologies we have, what is the asset information we have, or many other things. You can document them. What is the procedure you follow? That also you can document. Now let's see exactly what an analyst can do. The first one is very important. Know the environment you are working and the assets you have. You only need to know handful. No need to know the entire. No one knows the entire things. That's why the as we speak in data section or in the SIEM architecture section where you need that asset information baked into your SIM or baked into your logs or to provide additional context. Like I said, you only need to know a handful of those assets, like what they are, what they're used for, where they are located, and what is the impact on the overall organization if this asset is compromised. You can start with these questions and move your way up accordingly. This will help you understand why we use a particular tool, though sometimes you don't get it because there are many tools out in the market, but nonetheless you need to know why we use it, or what is the use of that particular tool. What can a perpetrator get from these systems? Is this system can be the end goal of the perpetrator, like payment card information stored in a database, or an S3 bucket with juicy information, whatever it may be? Or will they use it for initial access? Knowing that can make your job as an analyst very, very easy. Keep in mind that this is not possible in every environment. Like, I worked in different environments, and fortunately this was possible for me. But as I understand, this is not possible in every environment. But if you do, if it's possible in your environment, please do it. It will come very handy. As we saw.
So Sai, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're coming up on the end of our session. We've got about 10 minutes left.
You got it. Only in 3 minutes I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. So, Sai, thanks you for interrupting me.
No problem.
So let's see. Let's fast forward a little. If the alert does not come with context, as we discussed in previous section, then it is hard to see why we use it, why it is generated, what should I do with this alert, like I discussed in the problems. As an analyst, if you're receiving a bunch of alerts with no context, then first figure out what that alert means. Better, once you figured it out, integrate that in your alert system. And better, provide more context on your alerts, as we discussed in the data section, to how to get more logs. Creating alerts should not be the priority. Actually, creating too many alerts can cause the issue in this presentation, like we see in the before. All the issues are causing because of creating too many alerts. But creating an alert with some level of precision will be effective and reduce false positives. Now let's see our final. Let's just jog down on this one. Playbooks. This is very important. An analyst can create playbooks to follow set procedures while investigating an alert. And I was recently made aware, and this is very important. Like, I thought step-by-step playbooks or guidelines are very important, and it makes analyst life very easy. But no, I was made aware by many people saying that, Sai, if you have step-by-step, then you are limiting the analyst capabilities. But if you have a vague but still be a document which can, or playbook which can able to um, communicate the process with an analyst, has much better implications because it will make the analyst think out of the box. I know. Oof, that was too much, and I exceeded my time too. But nonetheless, now you may be thinking, oh, I have to fix the whole universe. I like this meme. It's like, how to find all these issues? I will tell you how. Like he said in the IT crowd, try turning it off and turning it on again. Here, we need to turn off all the issues we have and turn on a different perspective we approach how we approach those issues. This may seem cumbersome and tedious or on all the things, but remember, an analyst is no less than a researcher or other creators, where one share knowledge with the community while other gain similar knowledge by experience, but without sharing it. Maybe because they'll be thinking, "Ain't nobody got time for that," or they'll be thinking, "I have to close more tickets." Maybe this talk showed you that if I can do it, then you can do that too. This will make a difference in your career and other analysts, colleagues, accountants' career. And that's it for my talk. I think I exceeded 3 minutes. Sorry, check.
That's all right. I have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to get him to speak. Maybe let's see, maybe Sai, as host, maybe you can enable his microphone.
Let me figure it out. I'm unable to. No, I'm unable to figure it out. Is the question in chat? I can take a look at it.
Well, actually, John, if you want to type your question into the Q&A, that might help us out here. Janta?
Analyst, did you experience what like?
What's that, Sai? You cut out. Okay, even here as the host, for whatever reason, I can't seem to enable. I can't seem to enable the microphones. Well, I have a couple of questions for you while we're waiting. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the process of being an analyst. So could you tell me a little bit about how you got your first opportunity in cybersecurity?
You remember?
I'm sorry, Sai, you're cutting out. Sai, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. But
no, I guess we're losing audio.
oh, that's strange.
Okay, I can hear you again now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, so let's move on to Christopher Moore's question. Christopher is asking, wouldn't automating an alert process create a vulnerability for a sophisticated hacker?
No, basically it will. So if you are
I think we lost audio again. Well, maybe this Q&A is just not destined to happen. I'll tell you what, guys. If you do have questions for Sai, if you'd like to talk a little bit more with him about his career and his experiences as a security analyst, I encourage you to reach out to us at dallas@csnp.org. Of course, Sai shared his LinkedIn earlier. You can feel free to reach out to him there as well. If you have further questions, we of course will leave the presentation running until 8 o'clock, and you can just put in your questions in the board on the left, or into the Q&A, and maybe Sai can get some of these taken care of in chat here.
You guys hear me now?
We can hear you. You want to try and answer Christopher's question again?
Like I said before, I'm not, automating every alert, because that yes, give an opportunity, but automate at least few of them, or the ones which you're confident enough. That's why testing an alert is very important. Like, you cannot determine 100% of what exactly actor or the. But if you remember,
I'm sorry, Sai. Your mic is just cutting in and cutting out and cutting in and cutting out. We're not getting anything. I'll tell you what, guys. If you do have questions, please go ahead and send them to dallas@csnp.org, and we'll take them there. Sai, if you wanna open that Q&A window and see if you can answer these questions in chat.
Yeah,
maybe that'd be helpful. So in the meantime, well, that might be the case. Is everybody else able to hear Sai, and it's just me that it's cutting in and out? see, how do I find them on LinkedIn? That's there. Let's see. I shared these in Slack too. The links that I shared, yeah, I can share these links in Slack. I will put these in the see, I will put these in the hashtag Dallas channel. So here we go. Our links from today. Okay. We will go starting here.
I answered the first one.
All right. So let's see. As an analyst, what tools other than the SIM should a SOC analyst know, non-vendor specific? Sai says, this depends. Like if you want to build your knowledge on open source products and get your feet wet, then I would say Elk, Stack, commercial like Splunk, they have free fundamental certifications. I think other than a security and incident management tool, you might consider what's called a SOAR tool, S-O-A-R tool. That is a security orchestration and automated response. I'm going to double check that acronym real quick. SOAR cyber. So yeah. So SOAR tools can also be something very valuable. Threat intelligence tools also can be very valuable. So, and Sai is answering some of the other questions as well. In the meantime, I'm going to cut and paste links. So let's see. Okay, well, that's 8 o'clock, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar now. If your questions didn't get answered today due to technical difficulties, I sincerely apologize, but feel free to send those questions. And of course, anything else that you'd like to talk about to dallas@csnp.org. And we look forward to seeing you guys at our next webinar. Everyone take care and have a great night tonight. Bye-bye.